Stray Blade, a Metroidvania action adventure with some mild Souls-like elements, but before we jump into all that, to get my usual stuff out of the way, a review games after 100. To set me apart from other reviewers on the platform, and while that does include the achievements, it also includes a lot more than. Um, a little bit different than what you might expect, so at its core it combines elements of a more Metroidvania style and pull in some small elements from the Souls-likes, so very mild in that regard. Mostly I would describe this more as an action adventure and as more through this game gathering power and growing our own abilities, we will be able to access different parts of the world as we explore and fight ever stronger enemies as we go through. First and foremost, we are going to start talking with some of the technical stuff with this game or issue. You might have this is a relatively new title, and I usually like to start there with those ones in that regard. The camera is probably something to be aware of sometimes. It can be a little cumbersome, let's say, getting you into a situation where it's kind of hard to see what's going on, or it will follow enemies when it really should not, a way that makes it kind of difficult to deal with, which is not helped along by the targeting system. When you go to attack an enemy, usually it will focus them as you locked on target, so sometimes the camera and everything involved in this does not exactly work. Sometimes the enemy will move around you very quickly, causing the camera to spin other times. For whatever reason, your character seems to think the enemy is slightly to the left or right of where they actually are, forcing you to have the real lock into them to fix usually, and then I did not see anybody else mentions this, but it occurred to me very frequently many times. The key would simply become unperceptive, which at first I thought was because I had run out of stamina, but I did verify that even when I was at full stamina sometimes the key would just stop working, and in a fast-paced Souls-like game that is not something that's really going to be acceptable, I would say, and it caused me a lot of frustration, so I will say the game is likely to run for you. I did not really have any issue there except on Steam Deck, which we will get to the for now. So let's talk difficulty settings. The reason I would refer to this as a Souls-like is that it is a game with a variety of difficulty options, some of which are pretty customizable, meaning that you are going to be able to make this as easy or as difficult for yourself as you would like. And while you will pick up a preset at the start of the game, once you get into the game, you can also set the difficulty to a custom setting, changing things like enemy health numbers or a variety of other metrics to customize exactly what you want out of this. And because of all these options, unless you are on the absolute max difficulty, it's pretty easy to sort of brute force your way through encounters even if you are not particularly good at the mechanics themselves. And because of things like unresponsive key might come up more, they think that so does bring us to the story setup for this game we play as an adventure known as foreign, who can be male or female. Their face is never shown or anything, so it does kind of give you a blank slate to work with, but your character is named Farron, and you are an adventurer who found the Lost Valley of Archaea, a place of legend and myth and explorer like yourself. Was keen to see upon arriving you find a spire there, and when you come into contact with it, you are blown blackwards and a stone is aimed it in your chest. A short voice into the game, you will run into another creature named Woji, who acts as a companion of sorts, who explains that that stone is going to prevent you from leaving the valley. If you try to leave, it will kill you in order to escape you. Need to track down 3 masters of elements that unique you to the Wally 3 unique metal alloys. Here there was magical in nature, and upon mastering each of them you will